Wow, good evening, everyone. What a beautiful evening. I'm so honored to be presenting the Next Power of Women Award tonight. Hillary Clinton has been in our consciousness for decades, and her name means many things to many women. Her voice has been heard fighting for equality, justice, and for our very democracy. Her determination, unwavering pursuit of purpose has been both an inspiration and a threat. And this perseverance can be seen in her daughter, Chelsea, as well. We get to know Secretary Clinton and Chelsea in a whole new way this year with their documentary series, Gutsy, which they also produced. And as they travel the world to meet extraordinary women, from artists to activists, we get the privilege of seeing the kind of bond they share. Throughout the series, they tackle today's most critical issues for women, from healthcare, justice, bigotry, to entrepreneurship. They are thoughtful, curious, and open, what we all need to practice and foster more within ourselves and others. What is remarkable about the Clintons and the work they do on this series is how optimistic they are. Like the women they interviewed, they understand challenges. They've witnessed and experienced the best and worst of human nature, and still they remain hopeful and have some fun. They gave the production company behind Gutsy the name Hidden Light because they want to make sure no one's light remains obscured and that we all get a chance to shine. And they continue to do just that. I am so honored to welcome to the stage Chelsea and Hillary Clinton.
You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. No, no. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. And I'm telling everybody, taking my own salvation, and I'm building my own foundation.
Well, goodness, Sandra, thank you for that incredibly warm and generous introduction. Thank you to everyone at Variety. We certainly have thanked many of the women of Variety tonight. I also want to thank the men for ensuring that we're not just one night of the year and not just one set of special issues, but really threaded through the coverage that you prioritize, and that we know we're also not just on the cover, but frequently telling the stories. We are incredibly honored to be here tonight with such an extraordinary group of women who are being honored. Certainly, our dear friend and hero, Malala, Oprah, Ava, Elizabeth, Jacqueline, you all give us so many reasons to be optimistic. There is a lot to be concerned about. There's a lot to be angry about. I know that I am full of palpitating rage as I look at my daughter and realize that she could have fewer rights than I had growing up in this country. And I look at my sons and realize that they could too. Because while we've talked a lot about abortion tonight, it's also the right to contraception, it's the right to equal marriage, it's the right to privacy. Truly everything that has enabled all of us to lead our lives is under threat. And while that is acutely and urgently true for women, it is not exclusively true for women. And so this is an existential moment, and we certainly need all of us to be gutsy, because I don't want to go further back. And I think a lot about the admonition of the great Coretta Scott King and others who reminded us that progress has to be defended and protected in every generation. Well, sometimes we also have to win it back. We are so grateful. Oh, thank you. I should be channeling the hilarious Megan to tell you when to applaud. I'll work on that if I'm lucky enough to be invited back. We have been so incredibly thankful to have had the extraordinary opportunity to work with our partners at Hidden Light and Apple TV Plus on Gutsy. We knew that it would be meaningful. I think we had no idea that it would also be so much fun. And so I want to ask for your forbearance because I don't want to forget anyone in the discipline of gratitude because we are so grateful to so many for having had this opportunity. So to everyone at Apple TV Plus, certainly, but not only Molly Thompson, Rita Cooper-Lee, and Janice Aguilar-Herrero, all of whom are with us tonight. Our gratitude to our extraordinary and extraordinarily patient showrunner, Anna Chai, who is with us. She often thought that we knew things that we didn't because we had never done this before. And so she was so patient with all of our curiosities and questions. And we want to thank Roma Khanna, Huma Abedin, Barry Laurie, Sarah Horowitz, all of whom are with us from Hidden Light. We're so thankful to all of the amazing women directors, all women directors, MJ Delaney, Sally Freeman, Wee Gu, Joya Jacoby, Arlene Nelson, and Cynthia Wade. We're incredibly proud that everyone from our chief grip to many of our sound people, to many of our mixers, to the people, admittedly, whose jobs we didn't even know existed until we went on this journey. We're women. You laugh, but it's true because unlike many of you, I'm not an actress. For better or worse, everything I feel is always quite visible in my face and demeanor. And of course, none of this would have been possible without our extraordinary contributors. We're incredibly proud that we had everyone from Kwana Chasing Horse, who's much younger than I am, to Dolores Huerta, who's a little bit older than my mom, who shared their time, their energy, their vulnerability, their sincerity, and yes, their optimism with us. We are so proud to be in your company this evening. We certainly hope that you will take up the call to tell more stories of choice, of privacy, of equal marriage and equal rights, because we need you to help defend them, to protect them, to win them back, because I know I'm not the only parent here, and I know I'm not the only one who's enraged, and I also know I'm not the only one who's optimistic. Thank you all very much.
Well, let me thank everybody Chelsea thanked, and especially Variety for having us be part of this extraordinary group. And let me just add a few points. We're so lucky to team up with Apple TV Plus to make this docuseries about Gutsy. And it could not have come at a better time because in the series, we showcase a lot of different kinds of women who have done all sorts of things, some of their own choosing, some because they were challenged, but each of them having to dig down deep to find the resilience and the determination to find their own gutsiness. And not just about themselves, but trying to right injustice, trying to solve problems for others as well. Because we're at this moment of reckoning, not only in our country, but around the world, about human rights and women's rights, it's critically important that we tell these stories. And I loved what Malala said about telling stories to a broader audience so that we can begin to recapture our common humanity and to develop some empathy in the face of so much hatred and meanness and cruelty that unfortunately populates our country and the world. And I could not stand up here tonight without also recognizing the brave women in Iran who are standing up for their rights, their freedom against a horrific regime who stays in power in large measure because they oppress women. And I could not stand here without thinking about the women in Afghanistan who are being deprived of education, or the women on the front lines in Ukraine who are trying to defend their country against the barbarity of Putin's invasion. So we have a lot of work to do, and it's work in our own country to keep our progress going and not let the clock be turned back, and it's also caring about the rest of the world. And when Sandra said that our series is also optimistic, I really appreciated that. It's a choice to be optimistic. And I have to end with one of the best answers that I ever heard from anybody, from my wonderful late friend and predecessor as Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, who, when asked if she were an optimist, she paused and she said, "Yes, I'm an optimist who worries a lot." So let's be optimistic, but let's also make sure that we take our worry and we channel it into action in order to beat back the dark forces that want to turn us back. Let's be gutsy together. Thank you all.